The Blood Mage is one of the characters that a lot of players are just allergic to. They believe that it's one of the hardest characters to actually start on as the first character. But I'm creating a guide. This guide allows players to actually look at, the items that they need, the skills that they need to actually invest in to actually start this character, and it allows them to progress through the campaigns pretty easily. So first item, usually we need something like a scepter with high amount of spirit. Second item, threaded light. Right, threaded light allows increased spell damage per 10 spirit. This is a very good item. So let's say you have 300 spirit, you deal around 360 increased spell damage, and that is extremely good. Good thing about this item is it also gives an increased amount of mana regeneration rate, and you can have one that has 2 sockets to increase to add on additional amount of stats onto your character. I do have 12 to lightning resist and increase mana regeneration. So this is pretty good item you can get at a very low level, and it will progress with you till you get to the higher levels. Second item is the Necromancer. So Necromancer, why is it good? Is because it allows your minions to revive 50% faster. And at the very low levels, your minions are actually quite strong, as in they don't die easily as in the later levels, and they can revive much faster, right? The increase to maximum life actually helps. Increase to maximum mana actually helps, and the minions gain 30% of their maximum life's energy shield does help with their survivability, right? Second thing is Rat's Cage, but this armor you might want to use it at the later stage. This will increase your own survivability instead of your minions, right? Other early items include the Crown of Thorns. Because you're playing Blood Mage, you're actually using a bit of your life, and if you can keep your life at 90%, right, with the Coward's Legacy belt, you can actually increase your maximum amount of critical damage dealt by 30%. It's not an increase, I think it's more, so it's a multiplier. So it's actually more critical damage, right? Second helm you might want to get that will increase your survivability will be Azuri's Disdain. So this is extremely good item, right? So Azuri's Disdain actually provides 20%, I think it's 25 to 30% increase of maximum life as energy shield. So extra maximum life as energy shield, increase rarity of items found, and 20% of damage taken will bypass that energy shield. What notes you want to have is +1 to minion skills, right? And other items you want to use as Blood Mage include like life regeneration per second. So what you want to use is life regeneration in your boots. Something like this unique boots, it provides around 29 life regeneration per second. That's a lot of life regeneration. The only downside is that it does not have increased movement speed. Increased movement speed is very crucial to fighting like boss battles and dodging huge amounts of spells and things like that. But this boots does have something like reduced shock duration, freeze duration, chill duration. Another thing, as you progress, you might want to get a rare boots with increased movement speed, maximum life, and a bit of life regen, which actually helps, right? So another unique that you might want to get on the lower levels are the gloves with increased spell damage. This unique gloves is actually quite good, right? So it does have a downside, which is reduced cast speed. It reduces your cast speed, but it does provide a huge amount of spell damage. With the belt, with the shield, it provides around 400 plus increase spell damage at the very low levels. And then at the higher levels for armor, you can get something with higher spirit, um, per socketed rune. This armor, Morio Invictus, I don't know how you pronounce that, but it does provide maximum life per socketed rune, and it does provide plus 12 per socketed rune or so called, plus 12 to spirit per socketed rune, so that adds up to around 48 spirit and 20 to increase maximum life. That is a lot. You can actually socket it with other runes or so calls that provide like 2 to maximum life. You can increase it to around 28 to maximum life, which is also quite good. Right, next, you might want to look at these items are items that I got at a later stage, right? So it's Demon's Teacher Gloves. Sacrifice 5% of life to gain that much energy shield when you cast a spell. So it does sacrifice additional life, so you do need a huge amount of regeneration to actually use this item. But what it does is it gives you additional energy shield, which is very crucial to this build. Right, so I do have 700 energy shield, so every time I cast a spell I lose life but I gain energy shield. Right, so I do not have to wait for energy shield recharge, and this adds to my tankiness. Next will be Tri-Rest belt with life, armor, stun threshold. What you want to go for is mana, life, and stun threshold, and Tri-Rest, right? So boots, same thing, life, mana, movement speed, and Tri-Rest. These are the most important things, right? You are using mana at the very fast rate as well, so you want mana regeneration, stats like this. I'm using Original Sin, right? So it converts all of my elemental damage to chaos damage. So all elemental damages are converted to chaos, whether you are using lightning, fire, and you can have a mix and it's just converted to chaos, right? And you only have to use something like Despair Curse to actually reduce all of your enemies' resistance, because all of them are just chaos. So armor, I'm using a crazy amount of armor with a crazy amount of regeneration, with spirit, maximum life, and it works with my shield, which I just continue to use it till end game, which provides me with 12% increased spell damage per 10 spirit, and it's just extremely awesome, right? So this armor itself provides maximum life, 3 sockets and everything. I haven't figured out what I'm adding into these sockets because I have my resistance maxed out and everything. So you might want reduce attribute requirements because you are mage. For rings, similarly, we are going with the life, mana, and the Tri-Rest. And for the scepter, we are going for increased spirit because our spells use spirit. And later on, if we were to respec to detonate date, we will need minion life and things like that. So stats that are very important. Helmets I already discussed with this. Minion skills very important. I have an upgraded version of this which provides 29% maximum life as energy shield, and that is very important, right? For amulet, I'm using a rare amulet, maximum life 45 to spirit, increased cast speed 21 to all attributes, and 14% of damage taken recouped as mana, and that's very important. Faster cast speed allows me to cast the spells faster. And for the build itself, same build. What you want to go is spell damage leech as life, or you can go for curse as well. Curses have infinite duration. That is quite good as well. So if you find survivability a problem, you can go for life regeneration, 0.5% life regeneration, and your armor can also have life regeneration. On our armor, you can see there's 2.3%, 2.4% life regen, which is extremely good. We go for cast speed, which is good. We go for chaos damage, which is good, right? So, and we go for crit as well on this tree. So chaos damage, skill damage, duration. If we are using essence drain, we are using damage over time spells. You know, um, uh, this works for the spell itself, so it increases the amount of time the monster is taking damage. Minions revive faster is very good, but this is minion nodes are better for end game rather than early game. Early game you might want to focus on chaos damage, spell crit. So you might want to focus more on spell crit possibly and all the damage nodes, right? So critical chance for spells. You will want to invest in enemies you curse have -3 chaos resistance. This adds up to the despair curse, which is extremely good. Minions have increased amount of life, and minions regenerate life. That is very good. And you do have certain dual slots as well. So for this, we are looking at let's move it up, increase skill effect duration. We are looking at increased aerial effect of curses. We are looking at energy shield from equip focus, not a lot because our focus don't provide a lot of energy shield. 10% of energy shield as maximum stun resistance and things like that, and it's just extremely good. Okay, so next we are looking at things like jewel slots. We are looking at yeah, I mean you can use a necromantle. Necromantle is best for early game. Early game we just use necromantle, but we don't put any minion nodes for necromantle, right? So this is also something that's extremely good, but these nodes are good, but it's just good for early game, right? Lose 3% of life and energy shield, right? So you can actually pair it up with things like Crown of Thorns, to actually get yourself to low life. And all these stats like increased attributes, increased movement speeds and things like that, they are extremely good at the lower level, right? I would say at the lower level this is good until you can get the Demon Stitcher gloves that we are using right now, right? So Demon Stitcher, it's okay, but it's not really that awesome, right? At the lower level, because you're really sacrificing too much health. 5% of health at the lower level, it really it's just not safe, right? You're just killing monsters and you're sacrificing too much of your health. You're using too much of a life as mana, and it just will not work. So you need stats. You do need all those life regeneration nodes, mana nodes, minion nodes. Not so much. Mana regen, yes, if you do need mana regen, you need to go for that, right? So this skill, life remnants, you can actually overheal yourself, but it's just not, it's not often. You can get the orb, but sometimes the orb is just at the boss area, and it just does not help. Infinite curse, yes, infinite curse is good, and you should get it if you're fighting a boss. And if you're fighting a boss, you have infinite curse on the boss. You just have to cast it once and you can just forget about it, right? So that is like, I would say 25% of the time you don't have to worry about what's on the boss, whether the curse is on the boss itself. You of course can use a wand that's extremely rare wand, right? So it's 29% of damage as extra fire, 28% damage as extra cold, 30% of damage as extra lightning, and this is an extremely good item. I would suggest that you can get this item if you are planning to not play Corpse Explosion, so it actually stacks your damage. Right, so you can actually convert physical to elemental and elemental to chaos as well. Let's say you want to go Bone Storm. So for this game, I actually just curse my enemies quickly, right? And then use Firestorm to proc, like Contagion and Essence Drain as well. So you just have to target one monster and then you use Essence Drains on your that monster itself. Firestorm does help to spread the damage over time across all these mobs, and it's just extremely useful. Second spell you can use is Solar Orb. I think it's called Solar Orb, and you can just place it in the middle of the enemy mob, and it will just deal extreme amount of damage. And for me, these are just the spells that I use, because at a lower level you are actually using a lot of life. You don't want to really use life all the time, rather let the spells do the work. So what you want to do is just to cast Essence Drain, Contagion, uh, Firestorm. For bosses in general, I would say um, for bosses in general, you just want to spam Essence Drain. There's no other spell you want to spam but Essence Drain, maybe Contagion and the Curse. Um, and Firestorm, not really. If you really cannot see the boss move, the bosses move, right? You just don't cast, things like Solar Orb and Firestorm. You do need to move and fight as well, so I don't think it's just extremely wise to just keep casting spells and just staying where you are. Okay, so for this boss, you can see that he's killing my minions, but they are reviving quickly, and it's just fast enough, right? So there's just no issue with me just spamming like Essence Rain on the boss. This is the right way to go uh, at in the early to mid late game, maybe, right? So before you really move on to Detonate Date, and you can really play around with spells like Essence Drain. If other spells are other spells might be too heavy on the life drain and might create an issue for your character. So for Blood Mage, Essence Drain really goes light on the life drain. You can just spam Essence Drain rather than something like Spark, which might drain a ton of life in the early game, right? So and you can see I'm just focusing on just dodging the attacks of the boss, right? And the boss is dying, right? So this is just a guide for the early game. I will create another guide for the late game Blood Mage character. Thank you for watching my YouTube video. Please like, subscribe,